Hey everyone, and welcome to Television for the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from Melifuzz TV. I had to think about that. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we talk about all the DC TV shows that aired during the week, which right now is Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and unfortunately Arrow. So we'll be talking about all four of those episodes this week. It's funny because right now they're still all in sync. None of them have taken a break yet. But eventually that's going to happen. It's going to feel weird, but it's like, this week it's just the two shows.
We might get all the way up to the crossover without it, though.
Yeah, because they started maybe like 2 weeks later than usual, I think. 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, crossovers this first week of December, right?
No, this year it's the last week of November.
Right, okay, so this is...
So it's notably earlier than usual.
Is it the 27th, 28th?
Yes.
This was episode 4 we just did, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we can't take a break.
Excellent. All right, so we have a straight run to then, and then I imagine we'll have one episode of each after that before Christmas. It might not even be the week after. They might take a couple of weeks off and then give us one, knowing them. You know what they're like. But
yeah.
I imagine one more of each after that. Except maybe Legends, because Legends has less episodes. I could see the argument, because they didn't last year. If I remember correctly, they might have been the only one not to have an episode after.
It's true. Yeah, could be.
I could be completely making that up, though. Either way, we're here to talk about these TV shows. Obviously, there'll be spoilers for each of the shows in those episode discussions, but we'll try not to cross-pollinate the spoilers too much between them in case you only want one or the other. There'll be timestamps in the description, so you can skip to any of the shows you care about, if you don't care about all four of them, which is, fair. Although, it's worth hearing us just make fun of Arrow at the end.
That's always worth it. I mean... You got to justify me getting drunk for some reason.
You did, yeah. We actually watched it together this week, so I don't know if that'll affect the conversation much, but just so you know, I went in this corner get very drunk.
It's been a while since you've done that.
It has been a while, but here we are. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about these shows. I feel like what's weird about this particular podcast, this show of us doing this, is that there's nothing to really start it with before we talk. Because we do the comics. We do comics from the multiverse every week. There's usually a little bit of news, but we don't do that for this because the news just goes into the news show that we do.
I mean, we could talk about something that was relevant to these shows.
Can we?
Yeah. So, Wentworth Miller put out a big tweet saying that very, very heavily implying that he's leaving the role of Captain Cold. He mentioned how he's currently filming his final episodes.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he's been dead for...
Well, no, it's
for a while, so... I mean, if anything, it's kind of ridiculous that he was still kind of around. It's kind of a shame, I was never super into his casting as Captain Cold, if I'm completely honest.
That's fair enough. I like him well enough. I think I'm more sad that... Because I don't think they're going to recast. That's it. That'll be it for the character.
Yeah.
And I was hoping they'd bring him back so we could get the Rogues as a season.
Yeah, we actually get the team of the Rogues on the Flash. No, I agree. That's kind of the one disappointment I have, on the whole, with the Flash, is that idea of the Rogues being a constant presence and, Captain Cold leading a team of Mirror Master and Weather Wizard and Trickster and whoever. We never really had quite that, and that's kind of a shame. I don't know, maybe they'll do something. Maybe they'll have Captain Cold 52 or something. New 52 version or something. I don't know. They'll do a passage of the mantle or something like that. I don't know. But hey, maybe he's getting a nice send off, and it's not like it was funny though because remember last year they made him a regular for all four shows. And we kept saying, "Oh, when's he going to show up?" Because it was like he could show up in any show, and it ended up really just being Legends.
Yeah, I think it's funny that obviously the two people who had that deal were him and Barrowman.
Yeah.
And obviously, but both are no longer really part of the shows at all.
Yeah, Barrowman had a little bit more to do because he was in a few Arrow episodes here or there, on top of the Legends stuff. But it wasn't because when they announced that deal, we were expecting, they're going to be popping up.
Yeah, and Cold was only
Supergirl.
Towards the end of the season as well.
Yeah, we didn't get Captain Cold till 2/3 into the season.
Last 3 or 4 episodes, if that.
It was weird. Yeah, it was he made out like a bandit getting paid for being a regular. Then if he's if that's all he did.
Yeah, I think because he was paid for what 23 episodes because that was what it was, like a potential full season,
Yeah.
and he must have only appeared in 5 or 6 tops.
I wonder if plans changed. I wonder if they thought they were going to do something and then
Yeah, yeah, could be.
I don't know. Oh well, there you go. That was a bit of an intro chat, so we can talk about the shows themselves. So first up, as per usual, is Supergirl. This is season 3, episode 4. It's called The Faithful. So yeah, let's get into it. So it's funny because I think we'll have positives, we'll have negatives as we talk about this. I think we're both going to have some of the same complaints, but it's also some of the same praises to give it, or praises that appraisements, whatever. But what I want to actually compliment this episode for, before we actually talk about what worked and what didn't, is I really like that they wanted to tackle something like this in this way.
I agree. I think I don't think this episode always reaches the high points that it should or could, but I think in concept, I applaud it, and I don't think I've ever seen a show do anything like this.
Yeah,
really,
because the idea of this episode is that someone starts a religion. I mean, arguably just a cult, which is characters themselves in the show kind of say it's basically just a cult. But for lack of a better, it's a religion about Supergirl. Now, the one place where this falls down is that none of these people worshipping Supergirl have ever heard of Superman. Like, why aren't they worshiping him sort of together? Like,
yeah,
it feels weird to just worship her and not mention Superman. But whatever. But
Superman's the false god. He was the prophet.
Sure. But so that's maybe the one sort of like wrench you can throw into that. But like, I actually really like the idea to explore here in the awkwardness of Kara seeing these people pray to her and like look at her this way. And obviously it goes into a bit of crazy town when they start like doing things to prove that she can be trusted and that their faith is being rewarded, and it gets kind of crazy in that sense. But just the idea of this awkwardness of them seeing her this way, and then when she tries to argue it and says, "No, I'm just someone trying to help," and Jimmy, it's actually Jimmy, for once has a sort of important scene where he says, "Hey, like unlike anything else people believe in, they can see you, they can touch you, you actually show up and help. Yeah. Most people who pray don't actually get confirmed
like a physical response. Yeah.
There's no like, sure they can interpret some things as divine intervention, but they don't get to see like the mighty hand of God come down and like catch them or anything like that.
Very, very, very rarely.
Yeah. Whereas with her, no, you swoop in, you catch them, you save the day. So it's not, and it feels realistic that someone would. I don't know if it happened exactly this way, but it feels realistic that some people would do this and treat her like the second coming. Like I get it.
I think that's why I'm impressed though, because obviously a lot of these shows, they often feel like, okay, I've seen this episode done in another show before, and that's fine. They always do their own take. They do whatever. It's something that's been going on for decades, so it's that sort of thing happens.
And that's not to say though, of course, that there's never been a show with a fake religion or cult or anything like that. That's not really what we're saying. We're saying as a superhero show where the superhero is the religious figure for a.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that before.
I don't think I have. And someone might point out an obscure example, and that's cool. But I still think it's a bold choice to make to actually say no. That's because I think a lot of shows might go, you know what, maybe that'll be controversial, or maybe that'll be like we don't want to make comments on anything accidentally with this or whatever. But no, they wanted to tackle it, and they wanted to sort of and maybe even have something to say. So as much as it maybe doesn't always hit the high notes that it wants to hit, I applaud the concept and the trying of it. Whereas Flash and Legends this week might be more reliably enjoyable, they're not trying anything ballsy. If anything, Legends is doing the opposite. Legends is just doing what works.
Legends is coasting on known, proven hits, and credit to it.
Shamelessly so. This is the most shameless episode of Legends of Tomorrow I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I loved it, but it was shameless. So
we'll get to that in a bit.
So we open Supergirl on a plane, and we have this really kind of cynical guy. He's divorced. He's like making fun of this newlywed guy. Oh yeah, I used to love my wife. Blah blah blah. He's getting drunk in the plane, and the plane starts to like turbulence, all that kind of thing. The pilot's like, oh, we're going to have to make a crash landing, and everyone brace for death. That's not what it says, obviously, but that's what you hear. I think in that situation, they're making their usual speech of like, oh, this is the procedure. All you can hear in your head is, oh, I'm about to die. Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I will give this credit, though, because I kept going, so Supergirl's going to jump in and save them at any moment then. Okay. I was waiting for it.
Me too.
And then there's that great moment where Alex gets up in the plane and I'm like, oh, it's the pilot episode. This is season one's thing.
It got me. I'm not gonna lie. Do you know the greatest credit to it is as well? In the opening speech, you see the plane. I don't know if it's always there because obviously it's changed recently.
It always was before. I think it usually still is. Yeah.
Right. Because I noticed, in this episode, it was there, and then so that was in your head, 40 seconds before, and you still don't put it together quick enough.
Yeah. Which, by the way, all 4 shows have their opening monologues back. Like, that's how all 4 of them had it this week. And it's weird that they all kind of experimented for 1 or 2 episodes each to not have it, and then decided, nah, we'll just keep it. It's almost like with this one, because Supergirls has got a different edit and a different music. I almost wonder, like, oh, they didn't have the music ready for the first week or 2.
It wasn't done.
Yeah, is that why it wasn't there? I don't know. Or maybe it was what we suggested at the start. Maybe it was just because they wanted the extra 30 seconds to...
I think that's the most likely answer.
To do something else.
I think if we see it vanish again at some point randomly,
that'll be why.
That'll confirm it to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we come to present day, and basically the guy who was cynical before, he's now devout. He saw Supergirl. He's like, oh, the Church of Supergirl, and it's actually new character Sam. Just remember the new characters' names. Sam's like watching Ruby. What sport was it?
I don't recall. They were on a field and they were running.
I think it was football / soccer. I think it was.
Yeah.
I think that sounds right. Was it? I don't think so. Well, it doesn't really matter. But she's there watching her kid do sports, and she's kind of working and pretending she's seeing the goals and whatnot. And this crazy woman comes up to her and hands her a leaflet. It's like, hey, you and Ruby should come. You are the chosen. And I'm like, where's this going? But of course, it's Kara's over at the office with Lena, and she sees this flyer, and it's it's the Kryptonian symbol for Rao. Or Raoul, if I say it properly. And she's like, hey, what's this? And she kind of looks distressed about it. She's like, this is odd. Why is the symbol for...
Yes, why are people worshipping Rao on Earth?
Yeah, this does not make a whole lot of sense. And she's with Jimmy and Wynn, who... They reference the fact that Jimmy's still a Guardian, but it's just kind of like, oh, do you want to go out and fight bad guys? Nah, things are quiet in the police scanners. Let's go bowling then. Oh, Kara, where are you going? Oh, some cult thing to do with Krypton? Yeah, we'll come to that. So
yeah, that sounds more interesting than bowling.
Yeah, they go with her to this, and yeah, he's got like a sermon, and everyone there who's worshipping her have been saved at some point or other. Some of them, and I actually really like the moment where Supergirl says, "I remember all of them."
Yeah, because I think it was Jimmy who says, "Oh, do you remember her?" And I almost thought she was going to go no, and it was going to be like the idea that they look up to her, and she saves that many that there's this many of them, and she doesn't. But
I kind of like that it was more like she didn't realize it at first, but then when she realized who was talking had been saved by her, she started looking around and going, huh. She doesn't remember the main guy because that wasn't a personal save. That was like just saving the whole plane. So obviously she never met anyone.
Right, and I like that. I think it was Wynn that looks into that. He's like, okay, so you say you never saved him, but it was I checked all the burning buildings, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the stuff where you never meet them 1-on-1, and
yeah, the group saves.
Yeah, and that's where he comes into it. Yeah, so it was interesting ideas, and like obviously it takes a darker twist because that they're intentionally putting themselves in danger so that she'll come and save them. And like someone new has been like chosen. They're now one of the saved, and that kind of idea. I did like actually when Jimmy's like he's like, oh, the first time I was saved by Clark, and like this was like, it kind of was a religious experience almost. The thing he describes is very similar to a scene in Superman 3. It's not the exact same,
yeah.
But he's talking about going up on like a crane or something like that to get a photo, and there's a scene in Superman 3 where Jimmy like climbs up. I think it's like like a firefighter's ladder, off the
Yeah.
roof of the truck, and he's like dangling, and he ends up dangling it like fire and stuff at an oil refinery or something like that. So I thought that was at least similar enough that I thought it was an interesting little callback.
Probably was.
Yeah, so she goes to him, and he recognizes, like, oh, I know you're her. Like, I saw you, on that night, because she was, in regular clothes, and her hair was just kind of wet and whatever.
Yeah.
And he agrees not to do anything else because she's like, oh, this is dangerous. But of course, you don't really believe him, and we end up with this big crisis at a. I shouldn't use that word in a DC show. Sorry,
no, you shouldn't.
Unless it's an actual crisis.
I'm sure one's coming.
Event, well, but the crossover.
Exactly.
Crisis on Earth X.
Yes.
But yeah, so they've got essentially Krypton's equivalent of the Voyager. It was like a, they're sending out with information. Also, nice touch. The power source, the Omega Hedron, is in the Supergirl movie. That's actually a plot device in that movie, just for the record. But the idea is that this is why he has all this knowledge, and that's why he's got all this data. And he's basically set it to erupt under this hockey game. There's, and I actually kind of like this. I liked that there was a big public event like this, and it was fun having scenes at the hockey game. I kind of wish we got a bit more insight into what the team was called. Just I like fictional cities have their teams.
Yeah, no, I get you.
I think there was a shark on the jerseys, so I'm going to maybe guess like the National City Sharks or something like that. But it could be something more fancy and not the obvious.
No, it's true. You got to imagine that they've got a good name in mind for when they need it.
I was trying to think one beginning with N, because I feel like alliterations are usually a good thing to go with these things, but I couldn't think of anything N related that was, shark.
Nautical. The National Nauticals.
I don't think that's what they're called.
No, I don't think it is either. It's the only word beginning with N that springs to
Also,
mind.
because it's called National City, almost anything you could put there, it sounds like you're saying it's the country's thing. It's
That's true.
The national, I don't know, pick a team. The National Lakers. Oh, so it's the country's team.
Yeah, no, it does sound like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they avoided saying it, because it's like, nah, it's just going to sound rubbish.
It sounds silly. Yeah, okay. So they basically set up a bomb and kill everyone, and because they think Supergirl's going to save everyone in the building. And ironically, when she shows up and she's trying to stop the thing from going off, that is her trying to save it. She can't individually save everyone up there if the explosion goes off. She has to stop it at the source. This is just basic logic, but they're not really comprehending that. And it's not until she gets hurt that the others freak out, and then he kind of goes back on what he's saying and tries to help. But she's really hurt from the kryptonite, which is inside the little pod thing.
I really like that moment where she's like, look at me, I bleed.
Yeah, that was
the hand has got a cut. I thought, that was a great moment.
Oh, that was a nice touch, yeah. And she basically solves the problem by using her heat vision to create a hole that goes down for miles, presumably.
Yeah, presumably a while.
Yeah, and then Alex has shown up along with this cult leader dude have to push in the thing themselves, because Alex tries to do it herself and she can't quite do it. She's like, hey, you idiot, come help me save people.
Yeah.
They sort of push it in, and I mean, they do address why Jean doesn't go, because Wynn just kind of says, oh, you'd never get there on time, and I'm like, okay, it's a bit cheap, but fine.
Whatever, I'll take it.
Yeah. We keep making these excuses why Jean doesn't go as well, because obviously he could deal with this. He could mind control the asshole and just fix it right here and now. And
that'd be a really simple way of doing it, wouldn't it?
It would be really simple. Sometimes they just don't take the clear cut way of doing it.
I think, to be fair, we rarely see him mind controlling people.
That's
think
true.
It's this, the idea of personal liberties.
All right, fine,
Not
but
wanting to sink to their level.
But at least when Kara gets all kryptonite infected, he'd still be standing strong.
Yeah, that would be useful, wouldn't it?
He could phase into the thing and take out the power source, maybe. I don't know.
That'd be very useful.
Like that's two solid tactics.
Yeah, I'll give you those.
Don't get me wrong. Her making the big hole was fun and all, but it's not.
It was a bit unnecessary, and a lot of, we got to get someone to come in and build over that hole now. Are the DEO paying for all that cement?
You don't have to fill the whole thing. You just have to fill it down a couple of feet.
You got to fill it enough.
It's just a Basically, all you're doing is putting a few planks of wood over it and then painting over them. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, that's never gone wrong in any cartoon ever, has it?
All I'm saying is it's not enough structural damage that it needs the foundation of that one bit of circle to keep the
It
building
doesn't
up.
need it, but I think, they should do it anyway.
Bit of metal, bolt it to the ground, it's done, right? It's get a sheet over it, and people can...
God, I hope we come back to someone falling through this hole in one episode.
No one's
one
going to
day.
fall through it. You just get a nice thick bit of metal, just bolt it around the hole, and no one can fall on it.
It seems reasonable, but
It's easy. You're making things too complicated here.
I know.
So like, it's fine. I don't think the actual final sequence is that exciting.
No, it's not. I like more the aftermath of it. Where she goes up to him and is like, "Look, are you gonna tell anyone who I am?" And his response of, I know you gave me a name, but I don't even remember it. It's not important. It's not who you are.
Yeah, I like that. I like that he still believes, and he's like, yeah, even gods lose their way, and if I can help you put you on track, then,
Yeah.
I'll do that. And I think, obviously he goes off the deep end, but there is kind of a message in here of, like, what religion can give to people who believe in it, and what it can give to them. We see Jean pray with his dad. We see Kara even goes to the hologram thing, and like she did with her mother, and just, prays to Rao. And it's okay. Like, it's kind of, it's poking at the ideas of, like, and it's kind of what Jimmy was getting at earlier. Like, okay, sure, these people are being extreme, but the whole idea of believing in Superman and Supergirl and that gives them hope, they're just kind of taking it one step further. If that's what makes...
I think ultimately it plays it a bit too safe, because this is poking at religious extremism.
It is, yeah.
But it never quite gets into it. It's like, this is an idea, but we're not willing to really go into it. It's like, we'll just let the idea sit there.
I see if they proper went into it. I think it'd have to be an arc. I don't think you could do it in one episode.
I agree, but I think it would be a lot better for it.
It would be. I think as much as we're giving it a lot of credit for even doing it at all, I understand why they did decide to draw a line and say, no, we're just going to...
Yeah, I think, honestly, I'm giving it a lot of credit in the principle and the idea. I think the execution is a little on the weak side.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think that's fair. But at least in terms of how it affects Kara, I think the points are still kind of there. Now, admittedly, how it affects her if they actually ended up hurting someone, because they kind of stopped them before they ever actually did. It also,
yeah, and then her living with the idea of, no, they killed these people in my name.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, is their motivation was very different as well, of course, because their motivation was that all of these people getting saved will make them like one of us. It wasn't so much...
Yeah, I think it would have been really interesting from a plot perspective if, not necessarily the bomb had gone off, but if, there was a smaller stage where someone did die because Supergirl didn't save them in time, and it would be then, them dealing with the idea of, their god is, she can fail, that she's not, all powerful, and they've done this. I think it could have been a really interesting...
Or if they targeted like someone specific, like someone who was like anti-Supergirl publicly.
Yeah.
If you're going with the extremism kind of route, like you're someone who's against her, or they're going to target them out of vengeance or like...
Yeah, I think that there were some really interesting things they could have done with this idea that it never quite gets to.
But a lot darker and a lot deeper, and maybe there was
It
just
is.
the choice was to not go down.
I think they did play it safe, and I get it.
Yeah, no, I think they did maybe what they felt comfortable doing on this show, which is still more than I think a lot of shows would do. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
I'll give them credit for it, even if obviously there's a lot more ground that could be explored. But yeah, so no, that's all fine. Obviously, there was stuff with Sam feeling bad about not spending time with Ruby, and she's kind of upset about it.
I'm finding it really hard to care about this Sam stuff.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't really care about it, but I wouldn't say it's bothering me either, because it's pretty...
It's not bothering me, but it's like, okay, I'm supposed to care that she's not spending time with her daughter, but I just don't.
I don't think you're supposed to care that much. Like, I think it's more... I think it's going to matter more later when
she goes evil.
When she goes evil, yeah. I think it's more about seeing things for later than it is... And I think in this episode specifically, it's more about Alex and Maggie. So, as we get on to that, I want to say, okay, right, I was wishing last week that it was the end of it. You were right. I was wrong. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. In the previously on, the end of the previously on was, her saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's kids, no kid's gonna be enough for you." It's like, yeah, it is. You're enough. And I just laughed to myself. I was like,
So here's the thing, though, right? As much as I didn't want him to go down this path any further, it was kind of wishful thinking. I actually think the scene where Alex breaks down and says all of this to Kara and that she's not okay with it, I actually think the acting in that scene
Oh yeah, it's
escalates it so much and actually makes it really good and really believable. My only problem at this point, honestly, with this plotline is that it was introduced in episode 2. We had the pretend it's okay in episode 3, and then we had the breakdown it's not okay in episode 4. I really wish they were all spread out.
yeah. It feels like they're rushing it for something, doesn't it? Like they've got to, like, I mean, do they want this done by a specific point for some reason?
Maybe, but I think honestly that's my biggest problem with it right now, is that it was introduced, then we had the other beat last episode, and then this episode it was the breakdown of, no, I'm not okay with this. But that's the thing, her acting made a potentially really cringeworthy scene really good.
That's it. The scene on its own is
Yeah.
fantastic because her acting is brilliant. It really
Yeah.
is. But I'm still looking at, when you look at it as in the larger story, it's like, okay, that was a great scene, but why is it in this episode? So, we get all the bits of her seeing the kids and, and it getting to her, but you could have done this for 2 or 3 episodes at least. Just, little things here or there, just a few looks every so often when you see a kid.
Yeah, so whatever, yeah. Obviously, we didn't like how it was introduced. We thought it was really heavy-handed, and that's fine. But, I think this scene's actually really good. It's just, it bothers me how quickly they've kind of sped through it. Like, have some time between each one. It feels so rushed.
And again, it's more noticeable because, like we said, their relationship took time to build. It didn't just happen. It felt like a really natural evolution. And now it's just like, okay, no, we're just going to break them up. Let's just get this over with.
Yeah, it kind of does. Which kind of sucks. But again, the scene itself was pretty good. So, I did roll my eyes at the first mention of it though, when when they're having the girls' night in, and she brings it up, and Maggie or Alex is just like, yeah, we weren't thinking about having kids, and it was just like, I was like, oh god, we're still doing this. It's not over. God damn it, you sons of bitches. Could you at least give me an episode without it? One episode.
Sometimes I hate being right.
I always hate when you're right.
Yeah, no, that's true. You do.
Okay, I get it, but just come on.
Yeah, no, I know.
So, yeah. Oh, obviously we end though with Sam has like a vision, a moment,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. She gets like Kryptonian writing all over her face.
Do you know what it looks like? The image, with all the letters on it.
I'll go on.
It's an episode of Doctor Who. It was one of Tennant's episodes. I think it was The Impossible Planet, maybe. It was the first episode with the Ood, and they're on this rock near the black hole, and there's like the devil like lives inside it, and he possesses one of the guys, and he comes up with all these markings on him, and it looks exactly the same as this.
Cool.
You don't remember it, do you?
No, I don't.
Such a good episode.
I've seen all his stuff, but it's been so long now.
Yeah.
Been so long.
For shame. For shame.
It's been 10 years actually. I mean, maybe 11 since that one.
I'm trying to think.
His seasons were 2006 through 2009. So, and there was a break before the 4th one, so it was the first that you were all,
Yeah. No,
6, 7, 8. So,
yeah, okay, it was a while. I'll let you off.
and she sees some mysterious Kryptonian lady with like ghosty dark eyes, with no eyes in there. It's just all shadow and stuff, and she's all evil and dead looking, and. But then it's all a vision because Ruby comes in. She's like, "Hey, Mum, what's wrong?" And she's just on the floor in the bathroom, freaking out. So no, we'll see where this goes. I did see her costume. We got a photo of her costume this past week.
Yeah.
And honestly, the bulk of it I'm okay with. The stuff I have a problem with is a really stupid thing attached to her hair at the back of her ponytail, and the mask is really cheap and goofy looking. The actual main part of it's whatever, it's fine.
I don't know why she has a mask. Presumably they want to hide the reveal to, to our characters of who it is. But
Yeah, to
man.
Supergirl, who has X-ray vision.
Yeah, well, maybe the mask's made out of lead. Come on.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm just saying it was grey. It could be lead.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm still dreading Mon-El's return, of course, because
Ugh, do we have to?
he's imminent. I can feel it. I can feel him showing up.
Please let it be after the crossover. I don't want him in the crossover. Don't ruin my fun.
Yeah, I can't argue with you too much. So yeah, that's Supergirl. I guess we can wrap up Supergirl there. That'll take us on to The Flash, Season 4, Episode 4. It's called Elongated Journey into Night. I'll be honest, I never saw that title before, and I'm looking at it now.
It's a bit clunky, isn't it?
And I'm going, what? I mean, I get elongated, obviously, because Ralph Dibny's introduced.
It's a little stretched out. I'm sorry, that was awful.
Hey, look, much like Cisco's the one who names the heroes and villains,
You're the one that does the puns.
I'm the one who does the puns, alright? I'm the one who does the puns. And Tom Cavanagh directed this one, by the way. Which I know, because whenever there's an actor who directs an episode, all of the photos they put out are all behind the scenes, and they show him with the headphones on, and he's directing things, and it's alright, we don't get that when it's normal, Joe Nobody directed it, but when it's Tom Cavanagh.
You get it when it's one of the actors, or when Kevin Smith's doing his.
Oh, sure, yeah, because he's
That's a point. He's doing one of Supergirl soon.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Was that a positive statement or a negative statement?
It's positive because I like Kevin Smith's episodes that he's done on these shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's a negative because the last one he did was a heavy Mon-El episode.
Oh no, he's back for Mon-El. He likes the Mon-El.
I really hope not, but
so this episode of The Flash introduced Ralph Dibny, aka Elongated Man, and you know what? There's a joke at the end where he's like, "Can I have a cool name?" and Barry suggests Plastic Man, and he's like, "That sounds lame." That's okay. I know I hated the joke on Arrow a couple of seasons ago when they suggested Oracle for Felicity, and they picked Overwatch instead. But here's the thing. That was a character who's not in the comics. I mean, she was briefly added into the Green Arrow comic for a while, but that was after the show. Robbing an actual character of their name. This, I mean, joking about it anyway. This, on the other hand, was a joke about the fact that DC has two stretchy superheroes. So, I'm okay with the joke in this case.
And also, for most of this episode, his personality was more like what I expect from Plastic Man than Elongated Man.
Yeah, that's also fair. That's all fair. Plastic Man's more the jokey one, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, he's the one that's a bit of a dick.
Yes. This Elongated Man, Ralph Dibny, he is a private eye. Who, because he's a disgraced police officer, he get kicked off the force, and he's doing basically simple blackmail cases. He's getting photos of spouses cheating on their partners and that kind of thing, trying to flirt with the clients on their way out, which gets him a nice slap in the face. And that's basically was that. So, but yeah, so someone's trying to kill him. He's one of the people that was on the bus, hence the powers. And it's interesting that the powers don't actually kick in until Barry and Joe go and see him.
Well, yeah, it's the classic. It's the classic mutant thing, isn't it? They kick in with heightened stress and moments. Because they don't kick in until he's hanging out the window.
Off the roof, you mean? They're on the roof.
Off the roof, yeah. Sorry, I've just got the image of him stretched down to the ground. I forget it was the roof and not a window.
Yeah. So they go to Star Labs. One of my favourite moments of the episode actually is when Iris is just walking through Star Labs and she sees this foot which is halfway down the hallway and she just starts screaming like she saw a ghost and she's just running around like, there's a foot, what's going on?
It's a pretty fair reaction, to be honest.
And then we run in there and then Caitlin stretches out his arm and the powder goes in his nose and he ends up sneezing and his nose is all like bulged out and like sinking down in front of him. It's amusing stuff. The effects, of course, are
ropey.
That is definitely true. Some are better than others. I thought the long legs looked a bit silly at times. At the end of the episode, when he goes to shake Barry's hand, that was probably the worst I ever felt, because when Barry shakes the hand at the end, you could really tell he was just shaking a prop. Like, it wasn't like a real hand that could move or anything.
Yeah, yeah, it was awkward. It was acceptable. Not as good as some of the CGI in this show has been, but it did its job.
I think inherently though the stretchy powers are always going to look silly, and that's
They
why
do. They do, don't they?
it looks silly in the newer Fantastic Four. It looks silly in the older Fantastic Four movies.
And that's it. You can say what you want about that new Fantastic Four movie, but it had a budget.
That is true.
So if it looks, pretty shit in that, what would you expect from the Flash?
That is also true. So Barry's convinced he's evil and that he's a villain and they should lock him up. And he goes a
Bit far with it.
bit fascist, I'd almost say. He goes to the board where they've got the 12 slots for all the people in the bus, and he just writes villains above it. Like, yeah, just because they've got metahuman abilities, they're all villains now.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a bit of a learning curve for him in this episode where he basically learns to not be that way, essentially.
Not be a judgmental prick.
Yeah, and so when him and Iris go back to the his office, Dibney's office, and they're looking for DNA so they've got old DNA before you get infected, so on and so forth. And Iris finds a bomb. We get this cool kind of Barry's like, oh shit, and instead of just speeding her out the door and down the stairs, which he's fast enough to do, they decide to phase through the floor together.
Yeah, but it's way cooler this way.
It's pretty cool. But no. But, I mean, I wouldn't say this one's... It's funny, because I think Dibney's really funny, but I think the rest of the cast are... they're pretty funny this episode, but maybe not as consistently funny as they were the last couple of episodes.
With the one exception of Cisco.
Which particular time are we referring to?
All of it.
All of it.
I think Cisco's side plot in this episode is the best part of this episode.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute because we're not done with.
I know. I'm just saying. I think that is better than this.
The rest of the stuff. So the mayor's corrupt. He's got goons after Barry. Does one of the things that Quicksilver did in X-Men: Days of Future Past, where he puts the two guys are dressed as cops and they try and shoot him and Joe, and Barry kind of like puts their hands like sort of over their faces.
Yeah,
like
knock
that.
each other out.
Yeah. So he does that. Actually, my favourite running gag in this is the fact that everyone keeps telling Joe that he's glowing, even though it's usually the pregnant woman who's glowing. But Joe, for some reason, is glowing.
Yes, he's glowing just because of the idea.
Yeah, that was cracking me up.
I'm not gonna lie. It went back to this shit post on Reddit that I saw where it was the whole thing of Iris was like, no Barry, you're not the Flash, we're the Flash. And it was this thing where when Cece said, I'm pregnant, and Joe went, we're pregnant. And it was just, all I could hear was that in my head when everyone was telling him he was glowing.
That's pretty good. So, yeah, it's also fun stuff. Honestly, the biggest laugh I gave out, though, was not an intentional funny moment, though.
Oh, dear.
The biggest laugh I let out was the moment I realised Barry was going to reveal his identity to Ralph Dibny.
Yeah, because of course he was. Because he can't help himself.
He does it with everyone. This is a guy that he actively dislikes. We find out that he's responsible for getting kicked off the force, and he's like, "Oh, I need your help. You can help me. You can stretch your arm up and get the helicopter." Because Joe's been kidnapped by the mayor, the corrupt mayor, at gunpoint. I don't know, that sounds like a weird thing to say.
I know. Let's not overlook that.
Yeah, but he's like, you can help me. He's like, I don't know, I'm not a hero. And then he's like, I could see it coming. And as soon as his hands came up, I just started hurling with laughter that he's revealing his identity.
He's worse than Oliver.
He is. At this point, he is. He's terrible.
And we used to laugh at how bad Oliver was for this. But, compared to Barry, he's a saint.
Why have a secret identity? He just tells everyone within a day of meeting them. And so, mask comes off. And, he gets the thing where he stretches his hand out and Barry runs up his arm.
My question is, is he just stretching further and further with the helicopter? Because the helicopter's jolting like he's holding it down.
Yeah, I think that's the impression I got. It was kind of holding it back.
Is he just really strong now? Like he's holding it down? Because it didn't seem like he was really strong. It never gave me that impression other than that moment.
I don't know if it's so much as strong, it's just kind of resistance. Like, maybe it jolts it at first and then it keeps stretching him more. Maybe
what's keeping him on the ground? What's stopping him grabbing the helicopter and the helicopter not just pulling him up?
He grabbed something with the other hand?
Maybe. They were in the middle of a street, but sure.
Look, he's got stretchy powers that are really arguing the physics of.
No, but because I think it could have been that he just kept stretching and stretching. He didn't pull the helicopter back at all. And he's like, "Hey Barry, if you're gonna go, can you just get up there before I stretch too far?" I don't understand why the helicopter had to be physically held back and jolted.
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily jolted the entire time. It seems like it was still flying afterwards. I think it's the idea that a helicopter's not used to having any kind of resistance like that.
Yeah.
So it jolts it first, and then maybe you keep stretching after that.
Maybe I'll let it slide.
You could slide down his arm if you want to.
That'd probably be really fun.
Also, it's really funny at the end of this when Barry runs up, he grabs the gun off the mayor, and Joe just turns and goes, "Cecile's pregnant." Just in that moment.
Yeah.
And then we get one of the most ridiculous slow motion montages of him telling everyone that him and Cecile are pregnant, and everyone's all happy.
Could have done without that.
Barry looks like an idiot. So that's that scene. But there's some fun stuff in there. Iris, saying that Oliver Queen was hot again, and Barry just being like, "Really, we're going to do this. We're going back to this."
Yeah. It's fun.
It's amusing. There's some fun stuff here or there. Obviously, it ends with the post-credit scene where we have this tease of the Thinker again with DeVoe, the real name, and Dimney's like, yeah, that was the client. That's who put me on the mayor in the first place. And Barry actually remembers this tease from last season.
I know. Who'd have thunk?
I know. Look at it. It's great.
I actually did see a comment from the showrunners earlier in the week talking about how they knew that they were going to play it different this season. Because every season up till now, the villain has been a mystery. And they talked about how, they think, okay, maybe we played it too close to the chest last year. We revealed it too late in the game. Because by the time we'd revealed it, we didn't have any chance to really explore what that meant and do things with them.
This is the complete opposite, where they're just telling us who it is
they've just gone, right, who it is isn't the mystery this year. What's the plan, how do we stop them is instead.
Yeah, and why are they even doing it?
That of course.
The motivation. What is it?
Yeah.
Why is he doing it? I'm just. He's in at least one more episode. I'm just looking at Dimney's IMDb page.
Yes.
I just wanted to see if he was back soon. He'll probably be more than that. It's just obviously IMDb doesn't have that further ahead for TV shows.
Yeah, he'll be one of these that we can just have pop up every so often, and I'm okay with that. Although I hope he becomes more elongated instead of plastic in his personality. Yeah,
maybe, because that's obviously his arc, is that he actually he's blackmailing the mayor, and then he turns the money down. He just gives him the photos back and says, "You know what? I'm not dirty. I'm not doing this."
Yeah. I hope he matures a bit more over the course of his appearances.
So yeah, maybe he's becoming more of a hero as time goes on, maybe, and he can learn his lessons and whatnot. That could be fun. It was a fun presence though to have. I'm actually kind of glad. I liked at the end where he's like, I can smell a mystery, and he's like nose twitches. This stretchy nose effect.
It's goofy as shit, but I love it.
Yeah, I like it too. I'm happy to have him around. I think he's a good sort of C-lister to have on the show, kicking around.
And let's throw him on Legends next year.
Oh, that could work. I could see that working.
I'd be down for it. They could do with a detective.
They could actually. Plus, he seems like he'll screw up a lot, which also fits nicely in with the Legends. Not that it doesn't fit in with Barry, because Barry screws up a lot.
He does.
So this the subplot with Cisco and what's her face, Gypsy. And the reason why I struggled with her name there, because I was trying to think of her real name, because that's the big plot point of this episode. And at the start, he's like, you've still not told me your real name, and she's like, it's Gypsy. It's not Gypsy.
Yeah, I like it. It's like, we've come to that point in the relationship that I think I should say those 3 words. What's your name?
That was pretty good. And then Gypsy's father, Breacher, shows up, played, of course, by Danny Trejo, who's nice to see.
He's pretty close.
He's pretty good. When he tries to make friends with him and give him coffee, he's like, I will count and then I will hunt you. Did you just say you would hunt me? I will hunt you out of my daughter's life.
I love it. He goes, what happened to the last guy you hunted? It's like, I don't know.
Actually, honestly,
so he got away.
My favourite joke of the episode actually might be when he goes to Wells for advice, and he's like, "Hey, he'd be happy. Any father would be happy for you to date his daughter, except me, not Jesse. You can't date Jessie. Jesse's off
You
limits.
stay away from her.
that actually genuinely made me laugh a lot. So there's a lot of fun stuff with Cisco. He's kind of like he's got like some of the old tech. He's got the old barrier thing that they use in Reverse Flash, and but then Breacher just kind of cuts through it with his special blade. That's like
pretty cool, isn't it?
magical. He tries to give him coffee, and he gets this story about how coffee's extinct on his world because there was an invasion of elongated men.
Yes, we'd heard about the coffee before.
Yeah.
Because that was a whole thing with HR.
Yes.
Like and his origin was that's why he loved coffee so much. So we kind of got this before, but it was really amusing to have it here.
Yeah, it was good stuff, especially since it made it so dark, in a funny way, obviously, not in a real dark way. But yeah, so it was all kind of fun. But then he kind of like he respects Cisco because he sticks up for Elongated Man at the end of the episode, and he's like, I don't like you, but I respect you.
Yeah, I really like the moment where when Barry unmasks in front of Ralph, this guy's here as well. He's like, wait, your assistant's a speedster?
Yeah, because Cisco's trying to impress him. He's like, oh yeah, Barry's my assistant.
Yeah. Barry gives no shits about who sees his face.
Yeah, he really does not. It's baffling to me. So obviously there's a little joke at the end as well where Breacher, there's a breach someone on Earth, whatever. He's like, come on, what was
Cynthia.
Cynthia, there you go. And he's like, Cynthia?
She's like, I will kill you.
Cynthia, all right, Cynthia. Oh, I'll see you later, Cynthia. And then his name's Josh, Breacher.
Yeah,
also amusing. I thought it was a solid episode. Like I had.
It was, and I think it's one of those rare times where I thought the subplot was really fun, and because usually I think the subplot I'm kind of going, okay, this is cool, but let me get to the main stuff. But here, the main stuff was still pretty good. Because don't get me wrong, Elongated Man,
Yeah, I liked him. Obviously, Barry was a bit like they're almost going too far with him. Like, we should lock all these people up without any even questioning if they're good or not. Like that was a bit far.
Yeah, I like that Caitlin called him out on it. It's like, hey, I know what it's like. You know what it's like. Stop being a dick.
Actually, no, I really like she pointed out because it was great that she pointed out from her perspective because she even has struggled with being evil.
It is recent for her.
Yeah, but she's even literally struggled with being evil. But then I'm glad she really pointed out, no, but you're like this as well. You're not a villain. Like, seriously, stop being a hypocrite. Look in the mirror. So, yeah, it was good. It was good. So, yeah, solid A plot, solid B plot. Fun stuff. Not without complaints, but I think I liked the plot more in this episode than I have done for the rest of the episodes. Although I think 2 and 3, especially last week, were much funnier overall. So
I'll agree with that.
Which one's better? Yeah, up in the air. Take your pick. But here we are. So, with that said, let's move on to Legends of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 4. It's called Phone Home. Hint, hint.
Of course it is.
Hint, hint.
Of course it bloody is.
And what this will be referencing... Now, we kind of already knew this, because the tease at the end of... Oh, by the way, I forgot to talk about one thing on Flash. It's a small thing, but Caitlin comes home and there's like a message on her door saying, "We miss you, Caitlin. Come home," from our evil...
Oh, yeah.
For our evil
I
buddies.
kind of forgot because I'm really not feeling that plot.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it either, but hey, we mentioned it, right? We can move on. So, they teased this last week with the young Ray and the kids in the bikes, and he meets an alien. Okay, we're going to do E.T. references, because of course we are. Arguably there's a few aliens references in here as well, but definitely...
There's one really big aliens reference.
Yeah. But E.T.'s the thing. So... They're initiating Zari into the team, and Ray's like, let's do some team building exercises because Zari's here and she's new and we want to make her feel welcome. And she's like, no, this is stupid. Like, I already have everyone figured out. These two have a will they won't they thing, which I love that. Obviously, they all go quiet after she lists everyone because she does it all quickly. She goes through every single person. But I love that when everyone starts talking, Amaya's like, we don't have a thing going on. I'm like, you lived together for years. How could you possibly say that you don't have a thing?
I mean, years is a bit strong, but...
Okay, months, whatever it was. I'm remembering Ray and Kendra's marriage.
Christ.
Or fake
Why
marriage.
are you remembering that, Shaq?
I don't know, but I'm mixing it up. Yeah, and she's like, oh yeah, and Jax wants to know if I'm single. Computer's mad because I was trying to sneak a look into the coding and stuff, and Mick's been drunk since breakfast, and which is true. But yeah, so we have this fun thing where they're going to do the trust fall, and at first I thought Ray was going to have Mick catch him, and I thought that's a bad idea, Ray. I don't know if I'd if I'd do that. And then when I realised he was doing the other way, I'm like, oh, he's going to vanish from time, because we have this opening scene where, as a kid, he's in like a sort of science lab, and the people who are like running after him, they end up shooting him. Which, by the way, this agent is like, why do you feel the need to shoot the kid who's like, 8? Like, what threat does he possibly pose? I feel like in a weird way that this is like, just
I get you.
Just holster the gun.
Overkill. Yeah.
8-year-old kid, you need a gun, right? Calm down. He's not that dangerous.
Speaking of agents, a disappointing lack of Greg.
Yeah, no Greg or Ava this episode. We spent a week without them, which is a shame. Because I'm enjoying the dynamic on the show, but hey, we took a moment to have a emotional story for Ray, and we expressed. So as he's doing the truth fall, I'm like, oh, he's going to disappear from time as Mick falls, and that's exactly what they do. It's very funny.
I like two things about this. I like that he had to pay Mick to do this, and he was like, "You said you wouldn't say that out loud." And then I also like, it's the ironic joke as well, isn't it? It's like you better be there to catch me.
And then afterwards, like, oh, he must be dead. And then Mick goes, he better be.
Yeah. Oh, Mick is so one of the best parts of this show consistently.
Oh yeah, Mick, I can't believe how much I like Mick compared to season 1. Mick I hated.
I agree, but do you know what else has surprised me?
Mm-hmm.
I think Nate might be one of my favorite characters.
Oh, Nate's great. Nate.
But like last season, I'd have gone, yeah, Nate's good. Yeah, Nate's fine. He's cool. But like, he's legitimately one of my favorites now.
He has gold in this episode, absolute gold. I mean, maybe not quite as gold as last week's. She can't take it, Captain. But still,
it's getting up there.
Yeah. So they go back to 1988. I want to say, not that it really matters that much.
Sounds about right.
And they okay, we have to investigate. This is a day before the anachronism happens. Did I say that right? Anachronism? Aye.
Yeah.
And so they're all dressing up in their 80s clothes and stuff, and there's some jokes about, oh, this is stupid, why are we wearing this, why are you wearing that? And they go to tail young Ray, and he's like saying to his teacher, oh, thanks for that pop quiz today, that really reinforced some fundamentals. And at this point, like, Zari's already like, yep, that's definitely you, god damn it, you're so boring.
Yeah. And
they tail him home, and they see him stealing some chocolate and stuff off this little store.
And Mick's so proud of him.
He's like, never knew you had it in you, kid. Oh, I'm so proud. Nice job.
Yeah.
And they follow him home, and obviously they discover. I really like that this alien turned out to be something that was connected to something we've already seen before. I love that it's a baby Dominator. That is actually really cool.
It was like, instead of just being something generic, which they could have done, they went, no, we've got an established alien race. Let's play with it.
Let's do it, yeah. And I'm so disappointed. If there's one disappointment I have for this episode, is that there's not more of Armaya and Sarah in the red convertible driving around listening to 80s music. Because when they rolled into that scene, I was like, yes, more of this. This is like proper.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
It was almost like I don't know if they were intentionally going for a San Junipero reference, but I was getting that kind of vibe. I think specifically because they picked those two characters as well.
Yeah.
Just to compare it to that episode of the show, just to kind of match the types of people they were. But no, it was funny. I mean, hell, Sarah will hump it in the move, so even that's kind of there.
That's true.
So yeah, and obviously the real fun stuff is they're staking out the house. And obviously you have Ray and Zari sneak in. They're looking around because they think that everyone's at Ray's at young Ray's at school, Muller's at work, and they're sneaking around. And they bring up Legend of Zelda, Nintendo, very good. I'm not a Nintendo fan.
Really, you're gonna shit on Zelda?
Well, sure. Do you know what it is? It's just because I've had to hear about Zelda so much this year. Everyone won't shut up about that stupid Breath of the Wild. I have to.
That's fair, but. I mean, even you have to acknowledge that original Zelda is widely acknowledged as one of the greatest games of all time.
I've never played it, so I have no opinion on it itself, really. But
that's fair.
But yeah, I mean, sure, I know it's got a reputation, absolutely. Now, had he said something a bit more reasonable, like Castlevania, I maybe would have connected a bit more. That's all I'm saying. Of course, Zari's like, oh, yeah, video games have been outlawed. The only video games we get to play are training simulators and, like, stuff like that.
Yeah. She's alright. She's secretly a Zelda fan.
She basically looks back at him and says, yeah, first world problems, bro. just walks out. That was basically the response she gives him.
Pretty much.
And then they'll try to get the baby Dominator, they're dealing with it, but then the mum comes home and they have to hide, and he obviously shrinks, although he never thinks about that right away. He looks for a place to hide first. I'm like, Ray, you have shrinking technology, it's your entire thing, use it, you don't.
Ray screw up counter?
763?
Yeah, I mean, there's two of them to count this episode.
Oh god, I know. Zari just hides under the bed. My one complaint about this whole section, though, it's really fun for the most part, but just I have to complain that she keeps talking to her comms whilst young Ray's in the room, and I'm like, you're not even whispering. Like, she would hear this.
He's a child, not deaf.
Yeah. I mean, he's a lonely, sad, little pathetic child. Still not deaf.
Exactly.
Anyway, so Ray's mom comes home because she's had a call about him not showing up at school. And Nate's like, hey Ray, you never told me your mum was hot. And my favourite part is Amaya just turning around and being like, really?
Yeah.
Gold. Absolute gold. And we see that he's watching Singing in the Rain with his young Dominator friend. And they're, he's a big fan. And maybe...
And this is where...
The joke of the episode, perhaps.
Yeah, it might just be.
Yeah. Because old Ray's like over the comms, oh, they're watching Singing in the Rain. Classic. And
best musical ever.
Is that the exact phrase? And then Mick goes, oh, it's pretty good, but it's no Fiddler on the Roof. And then Sarah and whoever's with her, I think it's Stein, Sarah and Stein, who turn around and like, what? It's like, I love that show.
Oh my god, Mick is the best.
Oh dear. Like, this episode's going full crazy with it. We're not even at the really silly stuff
This
yet.
show is a cartoon now, right? We are acknowledging that.
Before the red convertible pulls up, Nate's washing a DeLorean, and he's like, "Now this is a real time machine." And I'm like, "I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you."
Yeah, but this is actually a cartoon, and I love it.
So they have to distract the mother. So Nate's like, "Oh yep, I'll take one for the team," and Amaya go up, and she opens the door, and he's just kind of arm against the thing. And he's just like, "Hey, pest control. We fought a bear, and we're here to check out if you need any assistance." And he's like, Amaya's just not impressed at all, and they came in and whatever, but it's just it's gold, so much gold. Yeah, young Ray runs away into the woods. Zari goes chasing after him. Not very amused. She has to play along with his stupid, because she finds his fort, and he's like, "Oh, what brings you to?"
Yes, is King Arthur stuff that we learnt last season.
And she's like, "Oh, I'm here to," and old Ray's like, "Oh, he's just a kid. Play along." Because Ray's in his backpack at this point, by the way.
He thinks it's a toy.
Yeah. It's like, "Oh, I'm here to see Sir Galahad," and she's doing the stupid accent as best she can, and all the rest of it. And she kind of gains his trust a little bit, but then evil. And I like that the lead scientist dude, the agent, is the guy from the last crossover who was like involved in all of this stuff. It was a really nice touch. It was like, this is just part of him investigating all this stuff, because we knew he'd been doing that for years. So it was a really nice touch to
it just made it feel connected.
Yeah, it felt less random. It felt like, no, this actually fits in nicely with everything.
It makes that crossover feel like it has some consequence. It isn't really a consequence in that sense, but just more that it happened.
Yeah, it didn't just feel like it was like a one and done thing. And because we had Dominator show up in Supergirl last season at one point for a nice little touch, and then here we've had this, and it fleshed them out, because we'll get to why this is not just your typical Dominator story. Well, it's already not typical, because we've got a baby Dominator that we're protecting like E.T.
The baby Dominator and the Mominator.
The Mominator. I
believe it was Nate that coined that, and another reason why he's killing it.
So they're in the government lab, very E.T., a little bit of Flight of the Navigator. I'm a fan of that movie, so it reminded me of that a little bit more. There's this particular bit in the lab, because it felt more like that. But So they're there and they try to and while this is going on, by the way, Mick and Jax have been a little bit suspicious of Stein because he seems to be up to something and he's wanting to go away. And when they find out what it is, he's basically just built a communicator so he can talk to his daughter.
Yeah, they think he's talking to the Time Bureau and being a mole.
And he's actually just talking to his daughter, and she's on her way to have the baby. She's on her way to the hospital. And he's like, oh, and because Mick ripped out the controls of the little shuttle, he can't just go in that. And he's like, and Jack's like, no, I mean, we can borrow the Wave Rider for this trip. You know, we're not letting you miss this. And it's like, oh, the rest of the team will be fine. They're in no danger. And of course, Sarah later on, like, she's running back after like fighting the Mum Dominator, and she gets to the tree with a note on it. Borrowed the Wave Rider for a bit. Be back later. It's funny, but what I really like about it is that I think I was worried that we were going to do the whole thing where, oh my god, where are they? Something bad's happened to them. We're going to go through all that.
And Sarah's just like, those dicks.
Yeah, you know, they wrap it up in one moment that's actually really funny because of the way they do it. And
yeah,
that again, cartoon, keep it going. So of course we get to the point we started the episode at where the kid's almost going to get shot, but then, you know, Ray jumps in and saves him. And, you know, it's all a lot of the things that's been brought up that we've kind of glossed over is that, you know, Ray's a lonely kid, he has no friends, he's being bullied, and his one friend, like, the reason why he takes the Dominator in is because he's so lonely, and this is like a friend that he can have. And like, adult Ray's not really accepting that, he's like kind of in denial, but then at this point he's kind of like, no, look, buddy, like, I know you're lonely and this, and it's kind of a nice little story for Ray as a character to look at his childhood. I'm going to assume they mind wipe the kid before they leave at the end, because otherwise remembering all this when he becomes who he is going to cause some weird effects.
I assume they use the Men in Black flasher on him as well at some point.
Because they use it on the mum, obviously, so we know that it's in play, so it's not that much of a jump, but it's just, you never see it, so I'm just going to assume they do it. But I assume your favourite part of the episode's coming up here. Where,
I don't know if I'd say my favourite, because there's all the Nate stuff.
Okay.
It's up there.
So they're in the lab, we get the little baby Dominator strapped up, and the little like device that's stopping him from using his mental powers and causing delusions and mind control and stuff is taken off, and like Ray's there, Azari's there, and the evil agent with his like 3 henchmen are all there. And the argument is that, oh no, you need to put the device back on, little Ray, because this Dominator will start killing people. Like, he'll cause chaos.
He's not really a friend, even though you think he is.
Yeah. And then, instead of killing people, it's a callback to the Singing in the Rain. He makes the agents do the song and dance. And they look confused as they're doing it.
I think it was really funny when they were doing the song. Just, when they just started singing, but when they started dancing, that was the capper.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. It was funny because they looked so confused as they were doing it, and they were still holding their guns, so they were kind of like doing the moves, but kind of somehow keeping a hold of the guns as they were doing it. And obviously Zari's like, oh, it's time to go then, and he's like, no, it's just getting to the good bit. He's like, no, just run out. So they're getting chased, and Zari and young Ray grab a couple of bikes. And we've got young little Dominator in the backpack in the front little basket of the bike. And they're driving away, and I'm like, okay, we're referencing E.T. because they're riding away from agents on bikes. Okay, fair enough, very good. And then they're getting chased, and they're getting chased. And Zari says, I hope this works. Presses her amulet.
And you're like, oh no.
And I'm like, oh my god, they're actually going to do it. They're actually just going to do the scene from E.T. And sure enough, this gust of wind from her amulet sort of comes out, and it makes them both fly in their bikes, and they even go past the moon.
I love it though.
And we have Ray flying behind them in his suit, and oh my god! Like, I was laughing, and it's kind of a mix of emotions. On the one hand, I love it, and the other hand, I'm like, you shameless bastards! You just did it.
In season 1, maybe even season 2, I'd have felt this was really cringy. But with the way the show is now, I'm like, just go for it. I don't give a shit anymore. You clearly don't give a shit.
Yeah, I guess. Like, you got that. Obviously, the fact that the mother had Sarah in the cocoon was very alien-like.
Yeah, and there was the other aliens reference where Nate's making out with Mominator.
Yeah, he goes in again, taking one for the team, and it's not actually, obviously it's the Dominator, but it's she's like making him see the hot mum, and he's making out with her. Yeah.
And then I think it's Maya bursts in and is like, get away from him, you bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good moment.
Was.
And she becomes a bear, which is especially funny because he earlier on said that he was fighting a bear. So
Yeah.
it was a nice little kind of wrap up callback to that, which was pretty cool. That was the thing. So we have this like emotional moment where the Muminator comes out, and little Ray lets little Dominator go back to his mom, and the Dominator picks him up, and like it looks like the Dominator's smiling, and they both look happy, and it cuts to the rest of the team. Sad music's playing, and like Nate's crying, Sarah's crying, and like everyone's crying, and Nate just says, "Oh, yeah, I'm not crying. I've just got some alien gunk in my eyes, and I'm away to go and brush my teeth forever." And there's a couple of seconds pass, and then Ray goes, "Wait, why?"
Yeah. Oh, this could be a fun story.
Yeah. So uh, they flash the mom. Zari tries to convince Young Ray to go trick or treating. He's like, "Oh, I've got no friends. I never eat all the candy." So we get that really cheesy, but honestly, I was kind of having a kick out of it. Where he goes trick or treating, the bullies are there, and he's in a little Atom suit because, of course, he is. And the rest of the legends all show up in costume. We have Firestorm. I love that Mick doesn't have a costume. Mick just wears
Just there with his
regular things.
gun.
Also, when was the last time we actually saw Sarah in costume, in her white canary costume?
Don't know, but when was the last time we saw Firestorm?
That's true. It may have been the finale, but that was because we had two Sarahs and we had to distinguish between them. So that was just how they did it. Is they had one in costume. Also, of course, the real joke here is that Zari is in a costume, and it gets to her at the end, and she's like, "I can't believe you guys made me wear this. How do you fight in this thing?" And I'm like, very good, very
That's
good.
probably the closest we're going to get to her costume.
Yeah, that's fair. I can't. Part of me still kind of hopes to do the black with the gold lightning strike at some point.
Yeah, yeah. I do like that, but obviously she has that kind of white gown as her. That's kind of like her everyday clothes almost in the comics, and then the black and the lightning is the superhero outfit. I think this might be the closest we get.
It probably is, and that's fine. I get it, but it was a nice moment. Of course, Mick just capped it off with "Give us your candy and your allowance too." And no one even like jumps in and says, "No, Mick, we don't have to take their allowance." And young Ray just smiles like it's the happiest day of his life. Yeah,
I like how no one stops them either. It's like they're all like, "Oh, cool, yeah, these are cool. We're not going to bother you anymore." They could just go trick or treating to other houses. They don't have to steal the kids' candy.
But no, they let him do it. They let Mick do it. I think that's a sign that Mick's been a bad influence on the rest of the team as much as they're being a good influence on him.
I love how worried Ray is. He's like, "Don't let Mick meet me." It's like he'll corrupt him.
So, bit of bonding afterwards with Ray and Zari. Zari's like, "Oh, did all the missions go this badly?" And he tries to convince her they don't, but he's like, "Yeah, pretty much they all go this bad." Yeah. And she's like, "Okay, truth, and a lie."
I mean, you've brushed over one of my favorite moments is when they all go. It's like, do they all go this badly? She kind of goes, "No, I look forward to the next one." And that's pretty much how I feel about the show. It's like, do they all go like this?
It was funny because obviously I think last episode Zari was fine, but it was because it was so like around her plot. There wasn't like a chance to really like get to know her as a character and how she is normally. Whereas this episode,
where she's just playing off the others, is much better.
Yeah, I liked her a lot in this episode. I think she's a good addition to the team.
Yeah.
So she's like truths and a lie, and she's like, back home people call me Z. Pretty believable.
Yeah.
I got a copy of Legend of Zelda on the black market, but could never beat the final boss. All I can think about that is like, so you went to get the original in 2042 and not like, maybe Breath of the Wild on Switch or like.
But it's a classic, isn't it?
Okay, all right. I'm just thinking her idea of a video game that you'd imagine would be a lot more complex than what.
I get it, but she wants the classic.
Okay. And then the last one's I love musicals, which is clearly the lie because.
She can't keep a straight face.
Yeah, and he's like, we were watching Singing in the Rain, and he's like making popcorn and stuff. So that's funny. It's good character building. I think she is all really likable in this episode. I think there's not a single character on the team that I actively think detracts from the show. So obviously, some are better than others. Some are a lot more fun than others.
I was just thinking through, and I was like, no, I don't think there is.
But I don't think there's any that detract from it. Whereas if you go back to like season 1, there's definitely one or two who do.
Yeah, and if they go down the relationship with Ray and Zari, this is already infinitely better than that Ray and Kendra
Ah,
bollocks.
it's, yeah, and they may not. I don't know.
They might. I just mean, you know what, they're set up here. It's like, okay, there's bonding. You know, there's a connection.
Yeah, yeah, I could see it. So yeah, so the cliffhanger for the episode, which ties back into Stein having his new grandson. I can't remember what the baby was. Grandchild. And for the it's funny how this airs back to back with Flash, because we had two scenes with cigars because of childbirth/pregnancies. But Mick tries to give the baby a cigar, which is amusing.
Because of course he does.
But yeah, so basically Jax realises that Stein has to be with his family. This is not his home anymore. So he wants Ray's help to try and figure out a way to split up Firestorm so that Stein can just be alive and doesn't need to bond anymore. So we'll see how that goes. And we knew something like this was coming. It was always going to kind of go this way.
Yeah.
But
it's fine. It'd be sad to see him go, but
yeah.
I mean, he's not the biggest loss to the show either.
No,
I mean, I don't mean that to sound harsh, but losing Sarah or Mick or even Nate would probably be worse.
No, that's fair. So that was Legends. It was a solid, really goofy time, but that's kind of what Legends excels at. So why not?
Yeah,
Funny stuff.
It was a lot of fun.
Also, I probably like Ray infinitely more after this episode than I ever have before. I feel like they actually did something with his character in this episode where they actually explored him being the dweeby he is.
I think it was interesting that it was kind of very standard stuff, but it was just stuff that they'd never bothered.
Yeah, because up until this point, though, it's just always been like, yeah, he's the nerdy one, but they never really do anything with it. He's just kind of who he is.
Yeah.
Whereas here it felt like, no, okay, I actually care a little bit because young Ray kind of gives him a bit of dimension.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's fine. So I guess that takes us on to the main event, if you will.
Yes.
Which is Arrow Season 6, Episode 4. It's called Reversal. I laughed in my head there because I was like, some would say the reverse.
Yes.
Was this a good episode? Some would say the reverse. So this week on Arrow, the team saves the internet.
Yeah.
And all I could think was the IT crowd in the cube that was the internet. And that's all I could think about throughout this whole episode when we're talking about saving the internet. We also have...
maybe the greatest line ever from Arrow.
Yeah, we have I wouldn't normally pick the name of the podcast episode from Arrow, but this week I can guarantee you the title is I'm a hacktivist, not a monster. Especially when I hear it in my head as, damn it, Jim, I'm a hacktivist, not a monster.
I know. I thought maybe it was only funny when I was drunk, but no, it's still funny.
Yeah, so Elena, whose name you probably don't remember, is back.
It's honestly the first time I've learned her name.
She is the hacktivist in question who was from Helix that betrayed Felicity, and she's here now. And the guy they helped get out of prison last season, Caden James, who is now played by Michael Emerson, he's causing all sorts of things. He's hacking into things. He's causing all these problems, and the team have to try and stop him. The other main thing that goes on in this episode is that Felicity is in full effect, and we get not one, not two, but I think 3 different people who say, "Oh, we're so glad you're back together." So on the nose that Curtis even says the phrase, "I was your biggest shipper."
Yeah, we thought it was really awkward that first time. They're in the restaurant having dinner, and this couple leans over and says, "Oh, yeah, it's nice."
Yeah, this old lady comes over and is like, "Oh, I'm so glad you two are back together. It's so sweet."
I'm like, ugh.
Then it gets to Curtis.
And then it gets to Curtis. I'm like, I want to stab you.
So that's going on. Meanwhile, Diggler's leading the team, and the other big thing that was kind of more amusing about this is that and arguably actually kind of good in a way, is that because Oliver's trying to stay away from it all, we had scenes where Felicity has to leave him behind and go and do...
Yeah, it was somewhat amusing, wasn't it?
Superheroic stuff. They maybe went a bit too far with it at the end of the episode where he's actually in the base doing her job, like being on the computer, hacking into things and closing doors.
Which I felt kind of defeated the whole point of him not doing this was that he has to have an alibi. He has to be at home with his kid. and not be investigated by the FBI.
Let's be honest though, we knew he was going to go against this
I know, but
sooner or later.
I, I know, but the whole point of not being out in the field is to be at home.
Hey, being in the base doing this is at least better than earlier on in the episode when he shows up in a gas mask and punches someone in the face. when Felicity and
he grabs a chain or something, doesn't he?
yeah, because Felicity and the other chick are going to like the equipment from some seedy guy in this weird nightclub, and Oliver's there in a gas mask. His new identity is Gas Mask Man, as I coined during the episode.
Yes, doesn't really roll off the tongue very well, does it?
Gas Mask Man. Will he have a sidekick maybe? Gas Mask Kid.
That was awful. He could have done way better than that.
Okay. Or the female sidekick, Gas Mascara.
Gas Mask Girl still works.
Gas
That works
Mascara
better
is
than Kid.
funnier. Though.
That is funnier. But I just noticed that Gas Mask Girl works better than Gas Mask Kid.
Fair enough. So you have all that going on, and you have them going to save the internet because Kane James wants to hack into the internet. Although it turns out at the end that
He didn't want to hack into the internet.
Like,
he wanted them to save the internet.
he wanted them to stop him, but because she's the one who actually went in and did stuff with her own computer, and like she did like some hacking, like now he's got access, but it's her fingerprints that are all over it. So she's kind of like the potentially someone that'll set up later on.
I don't even know if it's that. I think it's just more so there's no trace of him.
Yeah, okay, yeah, he wants to remain a ghost completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that because he likes to be that thing. Oh, by the way, he's the one who's like Black Siren's working for him. That's the thing.
Yeah, I still utterly hate that she has lead music. It's really bothering me again. I'm never going to get over it.
Yeah, I don't care. Black Siren in this episode is going into various disguises and killing the various people who have access to this, the internet vault where all the DNSs and that are. So, yeah, she's doing some sort of like femme fatale kind of thing. It's okay. It's whatever.
Something for her to do, I guess.
Yeah, you pointed out we had a scene in the hospital this week with Elena, and it's the same hospital room that that Thea's meant to be in.
Thea's supposed to be in, yeah.
Who, by the way, is still credited. She's still,
yeah, and no awkward mention this week.
There was not. I was waiting for it. I was really waiting for it this week, and it never.
I
never
thought,
quite came.
while they're in the hospital, he would go, I'm just going to go check on Thea.
Yeah.
Would have seemed easy.
Yeah, that worked.
Actually, I'm finding it really weird. We haven't had a scene with him going to visit her in the hospital. It feels like he's just like, I don't care. She doesn't need visited. She's in a coma. She's not going to know I'm here. Which kind of feels like, okay, that's just weird. You're still supposed to visit her.
I feel like someone is going to die this season, just purely because there's too many cast members, and it's almost like that's why Thea's in a coma, because they don't have time to do anything with her right now.
She'll come out of a coma for the very, very, very last episode of the show. That'll be it.
Oh, by the way, they mentioned the polls for this vigilante referendum. 70% are in favour of vigilantes right now, which is, obviously pretty good. So I'm now expecting them to really screw up in the next few episodes.
You say, oh, that's pretty good, and it is, because, typically in a referendum, it's, 2/3 is, it's like, okay, that's pretty, damning. Like, that's more than strong enough as 2/3 as a, typical rule of thumb. Mm-hmm. They go, 70% are in favour of us, and they go, well, that's not very good, is it? Well, we could do way better than that.
Yeah, Oliver wants 90-something%. He's even high.
Yeah, I'm like, what is wrong with you people? 70% is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. 70% is great.
Speaking of vigilantes, we remembered one of the people in the mask from last season, Caden James. It was like, okay, that came up again. Mm-hmm. Are we ever going to find out who Vigilante was? Are they ever going to address that?
No.
Is he ever going to show up again?
No, but while you bring that up, I do remember that the first guy that Black Siren kills, she just sees at the bar, we referred to as the discount Adrian Chase because he looked like a cheap version of him. He had a very similar jawline, he talked in a very similar way, which is really funny because he was already the discount Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no. I mean, it's pretty insulting to this guy, really, when you think about it. You're the knockoff of the knockoff.
Yeah, you're the discount of the discount. You're the bargain bucket variety.
It's like, when if you're a supermarket, you got like their premium brand. Their own ones. Like a supermarket will do their own things.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have like the premium brand, and then you'll have the standard, and then you'll have the cheap like Savers. He's the Savers, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Dear. Yeah, so that was pretty much the episode. I don't have anything specific that I really want to add in beyond this, to be honest.
I hated all the Felicity stuff. It was so much, and it was just like, shut up, get out of my face. Felicity's taking the name Helix for whatever reason.
Oh, that's right, yeah, because her and Curtis are starting their company, and at first Elena's like, oh no, that's lame, you're going to make stupid things, and then at the end of the episode, she's like, by the way, that sounds like a good idea, can I come work for you, please?
Yeah, and why don't we make that magic chip in your spine?
Oh yeah, she's going to cure paralysis.
Yes, because we needed to be reminded of that bollocks, didn't we?
Yeah, she's gonna use that. Now, to be fair, this is something in the comics. This chip is technically why Barbara Gordon's walking again, just to steal more things from Oracle. Now, it's not very good in that either. They've kind of glossed over it. It was really just an excuse to have her walking again when the New 52 happened, because they wanted her.
Pretended it didn't happen again.
Yeah. So, so we have the chip in the spine and that's fine, right? But so why is she taking the name Helix for her and Curtis's company? Like, why does she want to use this hacker group's name? Or, sorry, this hacktivist group name?
Because she's completely unoriginal and can't think of anything. Like, she can't think of an idea of what she wants to do. She can't think of a name. What is the point of her in this company? She didn't post off the papers. We know she's ran a company into the ground, so I don't understand, the hacktivist asked her how she's funding this, and she goes, "Oh, seed money from people who know we used to work there." It's like, you destroyed that company for all intents and purposes. You got fired. Why is anyone funneling money into you? I don't get it.
I don't know why, but that really reminded me of that thing, either last season or season 4, where like they needed something out of not out of Star Labs, out of Palmer Tech. And they weren't letting them in, but Curtis still worked there, and they had this big heist where everyone went in costume, and I was like, just call Curtis. Remember that?
Yeah.
I don't know why I just thought of that.
Conspicuously absent.
Yeah, he just wasn't around for that episode for some.
Speaking of Curtis, he throws his T-spear at someone, and it hits them, and it has an amazing sound.
Sure.
So this amazing like thwap sound. I loved it. Highlight of the episode.
Yeah, by all means.
You can tell what I think about Arrow, can't you? When that's my highlight, that genuine highlight.
I do remember you actually freaking out about it. Going, oh, that was a good sound effect. Oh, yeah.
Proper good.
Yeah, I guess.
Arrow's boring, isn't it?
It was. There was some stuff. There was a nice shot at the end when the villains were meeting up at the end of this airfield. They were at the edge of an air hangar, and there was this big silhouette shot of them all kind of talking.
Yeah.
That was okay.
No, and notably, no mention of Diggle's drug thing.
No, we've put that off for an episode. We'll talk about that next week, maybe.
Probably.
Maybe.
Oh man, if I drink every time he takes a shot of the drug, that might be fun.
Okay. That's my cat's nose peeking into the camera.
And making some noise.
Ah, he's purring. He's happy.
Yeah, he's a nuisance, like all cats.
When he's on the lap purring, he's not a nuisance. He's a cuddly companion.
No, you're not selling it.
Oh no, he's adorable. Look at this face. Look at this face. Firefly. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Yeah, look at that face. Look at him.
He looks so annoyed that you're making him do this.
He's
like, put me down.
He's just it.
You can tell we don't care about Arrow, can't you?
Yeah, I guess we're wrapped up talking about Arrow. It was. I mean, it wasn't the worst episode ever.
It wasn't the worst, but it was it was like, why are we doing these things? Why is this Felicity all here? Why is this stupid hacktivist back? And it's like, it's just a series of baffling events that make no sense to me.
Yeah, we hated everything with that Hacktivist plot last season. We despised it with a passion.
That was the worst part of this episode, that she doesn't die.
Yeah, she gets shot and you think she's dying. We thought, oh, at least she's gone now. And then she's in a hospital recovering, and she's like,
I was so happy for like 20 seconds when I thought she was dead. I was like, yes, Arrow's come out on top this week. And then it went and broke my heart. Just devastated.
well, I guess we're done.
Yes, we are.
Guess we're done. We pick our favourite episode of the week at this point in the show, typically.
We do, don't we? We do that.
Yeah, we do that. So, what are you thinking this week?
I think it's got to be Legends.
I think I'm also going to agree with Legends. I feel bad. I feel like it's been Legends and Flash pretty much the whole way. I really want Supergirl to have a win, because it's had some very good moments through all of this episodes.
It's not quite come together as a whole episode yet, has it?
Yeah, it's not quite done that, and I really hope. And it's funny because Supergirl's not as funny as the other two shows. I feel like, I mean, obviously Flash wasn't last season either, but now that's proper.
Yeah, but that was a real problem last season.
Yeah, but Supergirl doesn't have to be funny though. Supergirl, when it's great, is great for other reasons. So
yeah, when Supergirl's firing all cylinders, it's better than just being funny.
Yeah, so I hope we can get a win soon in the Supergirl column. But yeah, I will agree with Legends this week. So there we go. That brings an end to episode 4 of Television from the Multiverse. So let us know what you think of any of the episodes this week in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV, guys. Sometimes we screw up for the better.